Hi, I'm Mike Bellevue. I'm the black powder editor for Guns of the Old West magazine. And today we're going to be taking a look at the classic hideout gun of the Old West, the double-barreled Derringer. Now originally these were made by Remington in 41 rimfire caliber. This is quite an old one, and it was imported by Herder's many decades ago. Herder's, of course, is now out of business. And this one's chambered in .357 Magnum. But other than that, it's very similar to the original Remington Derringers. So let's take a look at it. Remington's over and under double-barrel Derringer, also known as the Model 95, is probably one of the most recognizable handguns of the Old West. It's the iconic pocket pistol of the Old West. It was first produced by Remington in 1866, and it stayed in their line up until 1935, which a lot of people don't realize. It's a pretty impressive production run, particularly when you consider how ineffective this pistol was. The 41 caliber rimfire cartridge that it's chambered for is notoriously weak. If you were wearing a good heavy overcoat, you could stop that round. But they made a lot of these. They made over 100,000 of them, and they are a lot of fun to shoot. This one is non-firing because it's got a weak barrel hinge. But it was loaned to me by my good friend Jay Harrell. Thank you, Jay. And it'll kind of serve to compare to modern Derringers that are available on the market today. This is the gun that we'll actually be shooting in this video. It's my Derringer that was imported from Germany by Herder's. And it's in .357 Magnum, but it's a pretty close copy. And if you're not familiar with it, because maybe you're too young, Herder's back in the 1930s through the 1970s was essentially the Cabela's or the Midway USA of its day. I mean, just a fantastic company. So let's take a look at these two guns together. Well, I would love to do this video shooting an original Remington Derringer, but I don't have an original in shootable condition. This is one loaned to me by my friend Jay Harrell, known in the cowboy community as Roughshod, and it's been through the mill, so it's not really shootable, but it is an original Remington double-barrel Derringer, and we'll just show you how it compares. It has a half cock and a full cock notch, just like my more modern Herder's Derringer. And as you can see, it compares very favorably in size. They're basically the same size. And they operate the same way. This lever flips forward, the barrel hinges up, and that exposes it for loading. Of course, it's 41 caliber, where the Herder's is 38. Now, one difference, I'm going to get some extra light on here to show you, is that's the firing pin right there, and as you can see, it's really kind of a little bar, and that's because the 41 caliber Derringer is a rimfire Derringer, and as you fire it and cock the hammer again, it moves up to the top of the slot so it can hit the top barrel, and it locks up the same way as this one. Now, this is the more modern one. This one is chambered in .357 Magnum, and it has two centerfire firing pins, but they operate basically the same way. When you fire it, in this case there's a bar here on the hammer that slides up and down. You can see the firing pins. There's one right there, and it hits them where it's supposed to, as you've seen in the videos, or you will see. Sometimes the top barrel does not want to go off until I take it, break it, close it up, and cock it again, and then this guy right here moves to strike the correct firing pin. So I could get it fixed, but I'll tell you what, I almost never shoot this thing. It's more just to have around for fun for me. So here's the original Remington, and as you can see, this was a pretty concealable piece of gear, just like its modern mate. Now you can still get Derringers in this configuration, American made, from a company called Cobra, And you can get much larger Derringers from Bond, and they're in .45 caliber and .410 shotgun. They are quite big. I mean, they'll be about a third bigger than this with 3-inch barrels. They're popular. They're viable for self-defense, though personally I'd rather carry a 3-inch 1911. But they're a little bit smaller than a 3-inch 1911. They give you 2 fast shots. Well, sometimes less is more. And we've got the Herder's Derringer. Evil Roy is 15 yards away. Let's see if I can sneak a couple into him. Now, at this range, I'm not even sure if I can hit it with this thing. And if I don't, we'll move up to 7 yards and give it a try from there. But, you know, what the heck, man, we're right here. Let's try it. Shooting high. I'm having a problem with this thing. I mean, it is like 60 years old, and I think it needs a trip to the gunsmith. It's not going off all the time, but it's still fun to shoot. But it's a pretty close copy of what the Remington Derringers would have looked like. One of the few differences is this one has actually got a crossbolt safety that blocks the hammer. So right now it would be unsafe, and right now it would be safe. So let me show you how this works. As you can see, I've got 2 dummy cartridges in here. They're loaded with expended primers. But here's the way the gun loads and unloads. It has this lever right here on the front. And when it's back like this, everything is locked up. Swing the lever forward and the barrels tilt up. And that's the lug that locks it. There's a little slider right here, and that is the extractor. So I'll drop the bullets in. So pop that up, get them up, and pull them out to empty them. Now, as I said, the originals were in 41 rimfire, and this replica is in 357 Magnum. But other than that, it is fairly close. You can see it's got fairly crude sights mounted in the hinge, and then just kind of an integral blade front sight. And it has a spur trigger. So when you cock it, the trigger is ready to go, and the trigger fires it. When you cock it again, it'll cycle down to the next firing pin and fire the next barrel. So you get your 2 shots that way. So let's go see what it'll do, which is probably not going to be much. Well, we've got Evil Roy set up 7 yards downrange because this Herder's Derringer is not exactly a long-range proposition. But we're loaded up and ready to go, and let's see if we can hit Roy at all.